Alright, I'm going to start off by saying disclaimer, you can hate my opinion here, but you gotta admit this is a pretty sick pirate getup for a whole 5 minutes of braiding and makeup time. So let's talk about the Assassin's Creed game that was not an Assassin's Creed game. I want to say, to use a comparison, Assassin's Creed Black Flag is itself to the original series what Assassin's Creed Odyssey is to the new series. And I know that's going to make sense for the diehard fans, but for anyone else that's kind of questioning that statement, let me break it down a little bit. At no point in Odyssey were you ever approached to become this first line of assassins. You're just some Greek lad or lady who wants to figure out why shit's weird. You know, you see the Isu stuff, you talk through the Isus for a few parts, but you don't really have a definite what. With Assassin's Creed Black Flag, you do meet the assassins. You start the game off dressed as an assassin, but you're never really an assassin until the end. And even then, your character, like, I don't want to say 20 minutes later, but basically a chapter and a half later is like, hey, thanks for helping me out, guys. By the way, I'm going back to England. Like, you can't really put a measure on the fact that it was or wasn't an assassin's game. He wasn't an assassin. He just used it. Now that I've got that part out of the way, though, let's actually talk about the game, because I found it kind of fun. It definitely set the framework for how gunship battles would go in the future. I know there's a few other ones. I think Rogue, to my knowledge, has more gunboat gameplay. But, you know, like Assassin's Creed Origins had one or two ship sections toward the end when you're playing as Aya. Odyssey had throwing spears and stuff on the Tremens. And all that stuff really did come from this game. Like, knowledgeably speaking, I have not seen another game where, hey, you get to play on a boat and you're supposed to survive that way. It was kind of a neat concept. And honestly, given that they put you in the Caribbean, instead of just making you teleport and island hop and take ferry ships from A to B, I like that they embraced being a pirate. I mean, what's not to love there? You can run out in the middle of the ocean, rack up a giant wanted level, kill a bunch of ships, get a bunch of loot, make your ship better. The thing that I will say bugs me about that is that you have like 8 different progression bars in the game, and one of them doesn't really work because I think Ubisoft might have disabled it. In the whole Ubisoft games aren't, you know, physical anymore, and Uplay doesn't exist anymore. I think it falls in that same category. Was Kenway's Fleet, because the progression bars are: what is your ship's tier and level? What is your tier and level? What are your weapon tiers and levels? Do you have all the crafting stuff done? Ships in Kenway's Fleet. Now, I know at one point in my game, there was a random ship we were chasing down, and I was like, yeah, send him to Kenway's Fleet. And then immediately after that, I was like, oh no, I can't do anything with my fleet. It just wasn't possible. Crafting, I would do it when I was near the stuff, like, oh man, I need to kill an ocelot to get a new pistol holster. Okay. But then when it came to like looking forward for tier 4 stuff, it's like, oh hey, what do I do for this? Oh yeah, 6 humpback whale skins. Well, I'm not going to do that, because that's both a waste of my time and a waste of resources for a pistol holster. It's just kind of how it went. And buying all the sword sets, not really a high priority for me. I did it back in, I think, Assassin's Creed 1 or 2, where every time I'd go back, I think it was 2. It was 2. Every time I would go back, to Uncle's mansion, I would run past the weaponsmithy and try to buy a new weapon, because they made it seem really important that you got that progression bar up. Never actually finished it, and in no subsequent games after have I actually chased down and finished that task either. It just doesn't seem like it's important. It's just like it's there. It's goofy. You're like, oh yeah, you can get these weapons. You can do all this. Cool. What does it get me? Nothing. So I'm glad to see the nothing trend continued. I will say, for what it's worth, this is the first mid-modern game for me to play, because it is historically the first one, and I know some people are bugged by me going out of order. Fuck you. I'm going to do it my way. The big one is definitely the new mapping system. And the whole new mapping design, I guess, would be the right way to say it. The old mapping system was, here's a shitty CTR screen with a map. And then this one was, here's a slightly more modern, shitty blue CTR screen with a map. But the maps actually kind of felt better. Like, if you were looking for something in a location, it would have an up or down arrow denoting if it was above you or below you. There were better definition for buildings. It wasn't quite full 3D like the most recent Assassin's Creeds are. But if I wanted to find something, it didn't take me relatively long. The only thing that took me a long time to find were treasure map locations. And those are supposed to, you know, give you a bit of a puzzler. I also couldn't figure out which way they were hashing the coordinates in this game, so I had to sit there and click around like an ape to figure that one out. So, it had its fun and some challenges here and there. As far as the overall Assassin gameplay, I will applaud it in saying I know it came out after a few others when they did the mid-modern switch, but it definitely felt good. Like, good. After playing almost all of the Ezio trilogy, Ezio, when he jumps off of stuff, feels very stale. He's either jumping off directly at the front or going left or right. Angular jumps don't always happen. The game decides when they will or won't. With this, I noticed that if Edward Kenway wanted to do a jump forward, and he thought he would make the jump across, instead of grabbing it with his hands and chest checking whatever he's about to run into, he would actually try and extend his foot a little bit further, put his foot up, and then use his hands to push himself back up the rest of the way. Or if he's climbing up, he's not making, you know, these stiff wall movements. He's actually reacting, you know, foot first, hand, move over. Unless it's something where, like, he has a gap to jump. That just will never change in the Assassin's Creed games, and I will applaud their forearm strength. Because ain't no one doing that. Fighting gameplay, I will say, definitely did change. Smoke bombs feel less powerful now than they were, but you still get a pretty solid opportunity. Sometimes with Edward, he'll just go for the simple, you know, you're dead, and, you know, give someone the bump and touch. But sometimes when you're in the smoke cloud, you'll go to, you know, assassinate someone when they're sitting there hacking their lungs out. Instead of just stabbing them once and moving on with the rest of everybody. I don't know if he maybe had a little bit too much rum that morning, but he'll just start stabbing the shit out of someone. And you're like, whoa, calm down. What's wrong? Talk to me, Edward. It gets a little weird sometimes because he's either completely calm, he'll walk up behind two people, stab them, blow dart someone else, and be totally fine. Or when you go to stab someone once, he'll just pinlock them at the neck and just start shanking them, and you're like, we're trying to move quickly and quietly here. Why? Stop. And I don't know if that's part of the new combat feature system, as I think 3 was the first one to have that roll out. And I have not played that one yet. I think that's next or second next in my list. I'll have to look the list up again. But it was fun. At no point did I feel like I wasn't playing an Assassin's Creed game, because it definitely has the elements. You got the eagle points. Didn't have to collect feathers this time. Thank goodness for that shit. you know, the in and out world for the Animus. Okay, I'm done Fleming. And eagle points, no feathers, being in and out of the Animus, and just the dual-wristed combat system. That all tells me I'm playing an Assassin's Creed game. The fact that I can simply pick myself up and say, man, fuck Cuba, and go visit one of the lesser islands around Cuba, that's not an Assassin's Creed game. Not the way it was traditionally involved, at least. Because the old Assassin's Creed games, you would get dropped in a city, maybe 2 cities, and be told, hey, there's trouble on the north side. Hey, there's trouble on the south side. Or even all the way back in Assassin's Creed 1. There were like 3 major cities. Technically, a 4th one got tossed in there. And you would just circularly travel to all these cities and have a little bit more of the map exposed to you. Like, it was simple. This, though, they give you a brig, and they say, from here to there, we'll label it easy to hard, but the ocean is yours. Do with that information what you will. And to me that says, I'm not playing an Assassin's Creed game. I'm playing an adventure game. I think it follows the same, I don't want to say critical hate, but critical look that everyone gave Odyssey, Origins, the games that came out most recently, even Valhalla, which that's not an Assassin's Creed game at all. No, I think Black Flag was the beginning of the end. I get what people mean when they say that, once they switched to that RPG style of, weapons, clothing, that's when Assassin's Creed wasn't the same. This game doesn't have those cubits that, display those points, but I can see where some of the fan base started to fall off. Now, if you wanted to play a dope-ass pirate game, you were in luck, man. That game was great. I have, honestly, nothing truly, bad to say about it. The graphics for its time, even today, pretty damn good. Weapon play, pretty damn good. Environments, there were a few times I noticed, weird pop-in. But this is also a game from, I want to say 2010 probably. I didn't actually look the date up on that. So I expect the games to be a little less, graphically powerful than they are today. Overall, it was a solid, sack of blood oranges out of a barrel of rum. And I would honestly play it again. Could I be bothered to try and be the best pirate in the world versus the, 20,000 people still playing it? No. Never. But as far as Assassin's Creed game goes, it didn't follow the weird, campy, oh no, everyone you know and love is dead to you. This one had a hidden backstory, so I don't know if I can't really call it an Assassin's Creed game either. I want to say it was a really good representation of what an Assassin's Creed game could be. As far as my ranking system, though, thus far, I would still have to put this one below Odyssey, just because I love pirate lore a little less than I love Greek lore. And, mythology and shit like that. I'm going to start recording my next game, though, and hopefully I can get a good experience out of this next one, because it is from a series dearly beloved to me that I have not touched since, 2014, 2015, maybe. And I've been kind of holding out, now that it's released a few games, to see what it's going to be like for me. Second guest appearance from Pinto. So I will keep pushing, keep recording, and I will see you guys on the next time. Until then, eat a blood orange. Drink some rum. Don't touch that wench. Trust me, brother. Don't.